Let's take a minute and talk about something that is everywhere but rarely gets the attention it deserves. EMFs, or electromagnetic fields. I know it sounds a little sciencey, but stick with me because this is one of those things that's surprisingly easy to manage once you know how. Now, EMFs come from devices that we use all day long, things with Wi-Fi, our phones, our appliances. And while modern technology is amazing, the constant exposure to EMFs can actually have some not so great effects on our health. We're talking headaches, endocrine disruptions, sleep disturbances, just to name a few. Here's the good news. Reducing your exposure doesn't mean ditching technology completely or going off grid. You don't have to give up your Wi-Fi or get rid of your devices. I am all about finding that sweet spot where you can keep your modern comforts and create a healthier home environment. In today's video, we're going to walk through how to make your home healthier by reducing EMF exposure and RF exposure inside your healthy space. I'm talking about easy swaps, quick fixes, and even some bigger changes if you're up for it. And if you're thinking, wait, how do I even know if EMFs are a problem in my home? Don't worry, I have tips for that too. Welcome back. I am Amanda. I'm a healthy home expert, a building biology practitioner, and a certified home inspector. I'm the owner and creator of Healthy House on the Block, where we work to create healthy spaces and healthy homes that benefit your body and your overall wellness rather than slowly burdening it down and making you sick. Today we're going to talk about EMFs, and we're going to cover everything from what they are, how to find them in your home, and some big changes you can make in your space. So first and foremost, let's talk about what electromagnetic fields are and how they end up in our spaces. EMFs, or electromagnetic fields, are invisible areas of energy, and they're often referred to as radiation that are generated by electrical devices and power sources. They're actually a natural part of our world. Even the Earth itself actually produces a low level of electromagnetic energy. However, the levels of EMFs we experience today are significantly higher due to the widespread technology use in our homes, and understanding the different types of EMFs can help you make informed decisions about managing your exposure. So the first kind is low frequency EMFs. And usually this is generated by common electrical appliances, household wiring, and power lines. So some examples might be refrigerators, televisions, electric blankets, washing machines, and fluorescent lighting. These EMFs have low energy levels and are typically emitted by devices that use electricity rather than transmit signals. While EMFs are weaker compared to other types, continuous exposure in close proximity, especially in bedrooms or home offices, can pose health concerns. So the second kind is radio frequency EMFs. This is called RF. The source of these would be produced by wireless technology and communication devices, essentially Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. So some examples: cell phones, Wi-Fi routers, Bluetooth devices, smart meters, and baby monitors. RFs operate at a really high frequency and are actually used to transmit data wirelessly. So RF radiation is a growing concern as our reliance on wireless technology increases. Prolonged or close range exposure has been a focus of numerous health studies, particularly in relation to cellular networks like 4G and 5G. So now that you understand what EMFs and RFs are in your home, let's talk about how they impact the body and how there are some factors we need to take into consideration while we're using these items that emit EMFs and RFs. So first, let's talk about how EMFs interact with the body. EMFs are a form of non-ionizing radiation, meaning they lack the energy to remove electrons from atoms, unlike ionizing radiation, such as like X-rays, or if you've ever heard of gamma rays. However, non-ionizing radiation can still impact the body in other ways. So the first is a thermal effect. High levels of RF radiation, like those emitted by cell phones or microwave ovens, can generate heat and potentially cause tissue damage. Oxidative stress is another way that EMFs can impact the body. Now, some studies suggest that EMF exposure can increase oxidative stress, which leads to cell damage and ultimately inflammation. And then finally, cellular disruption. EMFs may interfere with cell communication and biological processes. This has been studied in relation to brain activity, heart function, and hormone regulation. So the first is cancer risk. Now, EMFs are classified as possibly carcinogenic, meaning there isn't enough proof to determine that this is linked to cancer. However, RF exposure has been linked to a type of brain cancer. Sleep disturbances and insomnia are another health impact from EMFs. Particularly, wireless devices may interfere with the production of melatonin, a hormone that regulates our sleep. Now, reduced melatonin levels can lead to difficulty sleeping, poor sleep quality, and insomnia. Neurological and cognitive effects are something else that have been linked. Some research suggests that EMF exposure may contribute to brain fog, memory issues, and reduced cognitive function, especially with frequent cell phone use. And then RF radiation can actually affect the brain's electrical activity, potentially contributing to neurological conditions like headaches, dizziness, and fatigue. All of these have linked sources in my blog post, which I have linked in the video description for you if you would like to read the actual studies. Really quick, I wanted to interrupt and invite you to something new that I've been working on. My friend Tanya and I have created a brand new community revolving around creating a healthy home. Inside this community, we have so many resources for you and lots of opportunities to ask questions and get the answers that you're looking for quickly from myself, Tanya, and other Healthy House members. I would absolutely love for you to join us in the Healthy Home community. So I've put a link below in the video description so you can join. It's a free community that you can take advantage of and really use to help make your space healthier. There's also electromagnetic hypersensitivity. So while not officially recognized as a medical diagnosis, electromagnetic hypersensitivity is reported by individuals who experience physical symptoms when exposed to EMFs. Symptoms may include headaches, skin irritation, nausea, and fatigue. Studies are ongoing to understand whether this is a result of EMF exposure or is it also paired with environmental factors. There's also hormone and endocrine disruption. So emerging evidence suggests that EMFs may actually interfere with the body's hormone regulation, particularly affecting the endocrine system. Disrupted hormone levels can influence stress response, reproductive health, and metabolism. And then finally, developmental concerns. So developing fetuses, infants, and young children can be more vulnerable to EMF exposure due to their smaller size and their rapidly growing bodies. Some studies suggest that prenatal exposure to high levels of EMFs may be linked to behavioral and cognitive issues in children. So now let's talk about factors that influence the health impact. So it's really important to remember that EMF exposure affects individuals very differently. Some factors that can influence the impact of EMFs include the duration and frequency of exposure. So long-term exposure, especially in close proximity, can pose a greater risk. There's also distance from the source. So EMF strength significantly decreases as you move further away from devices. And device type and power level is also a consideration. Wireless routers, smart meters, and 5G enabled devices generally emit higher levels of RF radiation. And then finally, personal sensitivities. Individuals with existing health concerns can actually be more susceptible to the effects of EMFs. It's also really important to understand how EMFs behave in your home with different materials that you have throughout your building structure. EMFs are definitely the strongest at their source and weaken as you move farther away. So for example, the radiation emitted by a Wi-Fi router is much stronger within a few feet, but quickly dissipates with distance. However, certain materials in your home can either block or amplify EMF exposure. So concrete and metal can block or reflect EMFs, which can actually reduce exposure in specific areas. Opposite, glass and drywall allow EMFs to pass through more easily, potentially increasing exposure. And then there's insulation and shielding. So special EMF blocking paints and materials can be used to minimize exposure, particularly in sensitive spaces like bedrooms. So let's talk about some really simple ways that you can actually reduce exposure inside your house. These don't take a lot of effort, they don't take a lot of planning, they're super simple, and you could do these within the week. First is hardwire your internet. So switch from Wi-Fi to Ethernet cables for low EMF, faster, and actually more secure internet. Turn off your Wi-Fi router at night if possible, or when not in use. The second thing you could do is unplug your devices when you're not using them. So power down electronics and small appliances to both reduce EMF exposure and energy consumption. If you use a lot of Bluetooth or wireless throughout your home, try to limit this. So use wired headphones and keyboards instead of wireless versions. If you can live without your smart home devices, this will also help. And you can opt for actually corded landlines instead of wireless home phones. So I know a lot of people don't have phones inside their homes anymore, but if you do, wireless phones are emitting a lot of EMFs and RFs throughout your space, so opt for corded if you have to have a landline. You can also create a low EMF sleeping environment, so turn off your Wi-Fi and smart devices before you go to bed. Ensure you have no large metal components in your bed's frame or your mattress. Keep cell phones out of your bedroom or set them on airplane mode at night, but not next to your nightstand, and don't have them charging next to you. You can also use EMF-free lighting. So swap out smart bulbs and compact fluorescent lights or CFLs for incandescent, or I have linked in the blog post some really awesome low EMF LED bulbs that you can use throughout your entire home. And then finally, maintain distance from EMF sources. So avoid placing electronics near your bed, near your workspace, or areas where you need to relax. Keep microwaves, routers, and large appliances at a distance. Now, if you are looking for maybe some more advanced ways to reduce EMF exposure in your home, or you've done the 6 that I just mentioned and you're ready to do more, these are the tips for you. So first, you can install shielding solutions. You can use EMF shielding paint on walls to block radiation from neighboring buildings. I have this linked in the blog post. You can also use shielding fabric or curtains for windows, especially near cell towers or smart meters. You can opt out of your smart meters actually, so contact your utility company to see if you can choose a traditional analog meter instead of a wireless smart meter. We often talk about water meters, but your gas meter is usually a wireless meter as well. Now, if you'll be doing an addition or a remodel, this is a great time to have a professional install EMF shielded wiring or add a demand switch to cut electricity to specific circuits at night. You could have this done retroactively if you already have a finished home. It would be more expensive, but it's definitely a great option. You can also use EMF meters, so regularly measure EMF levels in your home with an EMF meter, which I have linked in the blog post, to identify problem areas. The best problem area to check is actually your bedroom and your workspace. You can also choose low EMF appliances, so some modern appliances generate more electrical noise than others. When upgrading, look for low EMF certified options or anything that's not a smart appliance. And then finally, avoid dimmer switches. If you have them, take them out. Do not put them in. Traditional dimmer switches can generate high frequency EMFs, so opt for simple on and off switches instead. And of course, I'm all about using technology. It's a great tool and a great resource. You just have to use it in a healthy way. So let's be real, completely avoiding EMFs in the modern world just isn't realistic, and you shouldn't feel like you have to give up the benefits of technology to maintain a healthy home. Instead, it's about mindful use. By making a few strategic changes, you could actually drastically reduce your exposure, but still enjoy the convenience of smart devices, fast internet, and all the modern comforts we actually rely on. Think of it like choosing healthier foods or reducing toxins in your home. It's not about perfection at all. It's about making progress, and every small change adds up. As always, thank you so much for being here today. I hope you can take at least one idea from this week's video and apply it in your own healthy home. I would love if you would subscribe to my channel, and if you found this video helpful, definitely give it a like. I will be back again next week with more healthy house tips on how to create a space that truly benefits your body and benefits your overall wellness rather than burdening it down.